Bonjour, ozawi makwas na baon additional cause makone dodem, chonto in 20, gema ago kwe odenon kirigon donjaba. Ntano ki ishkono Takaranto, mino Bejiko Nishnabe Onendam. So my name is Michael White. I work at First Nations House as the Director, Indigenous Student Services. And today we are setting up our 18-foot teepee with the help of Dave Lundberg of Sewn Home.
We've got very precise measurements marked out on our poles so that when everything is set up, it's going to form a shape that will match the canvas cover. So the top pole here is going to be our door pole.
That's the door pole, okay.
That's the door pole, so that's going to go right next to the door. And then these two are going to be our east and west poles that are going to go in the east and west. And so we're going to tie this together using, there's a lot of different knots that people use. I'm going to use the one that's tested and used the most for me.
Sure. Does it matter what type of rope you use to tie this?
It does.
Okay. Why?
So number one, you want a material that is meant for outdoor purpose, meaning you want to stay away from all nylon. Manila is a good choice for a natural look. Polyester is the best choice for a longest lasting material in any outdoor scenario. So this is a polyester. You want to go with a braid over a twisted rope.
Okay.
A twisted rope does not hold a knot nearly as well as a braided rope, and we want this to hold for safety, right? We want this to be sturdy. So we start with about that much line on the working end. About
that much, for like 5 feet?
About 8, I think.
8 feet? Okay.
About there. Okay, so we start off with a clove hitch, which is a great knot to start any kind of lashing. Very secure.
A clove hitch.
A clove hitch.
All right.
So you wrap this over, and you want to cross it over itself like this, and then pass your working end underneath like that. And the way to tighten this that I find very effective is to use your foot.
Huh.
Tighten it like that.
Now prior to us doing this, we measured out for this particular 18-foot teepee,
Yep.
And we marked those red lines. Oh, 2 of them are at 18 feet?
These are 18 feet.
Yeah.
This is 17'6".
17'6" for this teepee.
Yep.
18
so the
and
reason for that, the teepees I make are a perfect cone, meaning the crotch of the teepee is going to be dead center. The door pole is a little shorter, so that the tripod itself is actually going to be leaned just a few inches forward. What that does is, because of the way that we need to lay the poles in, the bulk of the poles, where they're going to sit, is going to be at the front of the teepee. So we want to make sure that there is symmetry to where all the poles come together in the middle, because it's not an exact cone. There's not a termination point at the very top, whereas the canvas is flat. So if you try to wrap something flat over something that doesn't have that termination point right at the top of the cone, it goes very weird. So we're trying to make this so that when all the poles are up, it's going to form as close to a perfect match to the cover as possible.
We're about to raise the, okay, Dave's going to do it. Sure.
Just grab the rope and go over there.
Okay. So, instruction. Okay.
Got it?
Yeah. What we're doing now is we're measuring out the tripod to make sure that it's the right distance. So Dave, what are we doing now?
So now we're going to fill in more poles.
Awesome.
We've got 3. We've got 12 more to go up for the time being. So we're going to start by going from the door to the back.
4 across on this side?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
And then we're going to come back here and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to put 1 on one side over here, right here. And then the last pole is going to go right over here, and that's going to be directly across from the doorway.
That's the door pole there. Okay.
And then, so that's going to be the lift pole where we bring the canvas up from.
Okay.
All these 4 poles and all these 4 poles, I'm going to basically put them really close to the front. I'm not going to space them all the way to the back. I'm going to keep them stacked in the front until after I've tied it all together, and then space them out. These poles here, minus the ones at the very front, I'm trying to pick the skinniest poles because they're really just helpers. They don't need a lot of support. They're just helping to fill out the shape. So I'm using all my noodles.
So what I'm seeing you do here is you're putting the 4 poles together in a cluster,
Yeah.
and then once you're done, you're going to space them out evenly.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Each series of poles on either side, you're trying to stack them up on top of each other. So the bulk of all that wood is in the front, which is where our smoke flap opening is going to be. So it's not taking up space in the actual shape of the canvas.
So Dave, we put the poles on the north and south side of the door.
Okay.
What's the next thing that we do?
There's going to be one more pole that goes in the west.
Okay.
So we've got these 2 poles. We've got 4 poles left. These 2
Okay.
are already marked aside as smoke flap poles. Those will go on the outside later.
Okay.
There's 2 poles left. We've got one nice, big, flat, straight, thick one, and one that's a little skinnier. So we're going to put the little skinnier one up now,
Okay.
and then the thick one is going to be our lift pole afterwards.
All right.
So the next part is we're going to lash all these poles together,
All right.
and then we can space them out. We can prepare the lift pole.
So Dave's going to go around and lash the poles together with this rope. So what are you doing, Dave?
So I've gone around all the poles. Now I'm trying to make sure that I can get it sort of tightened as much as I can, as high as possible. And one of the best ways to do that is to actually go around your door pole. And lift that right up.
All right, so what we're doing now is we're prepping the lift pole to put the canvas up. And so what Dave has done is he's measured where the lift pole goes. We have a bit of a challenge because it's a muddy day. We don't want to make this beautiful canvas dirty, so we didn't stretch it like we normally do. So he's done it with math.
And hopefully I didn't screw it up.
Yeah. So
but we'll get there.
okay.
So the way I've lashed it on here,
Yeah.
the loop at the top. I make my loops out of seatbelt webbing so that I can also throw a screw through there, which doesn't degrade too quickly.
So seatbelt webbing, 2 clove hitches. Okay.
Okay. So the other thing to do while it's on the ground, now these are the bottoms of the smoke flaps here.
Oh, okay.
We want to tie on some rope so we can adjust that. It's a lot easier to do it on the ground than trying to do it on a ladder.
This is a constant frustration when your smoke flaps end up flapping in the wind or get stuck when you're setting it up.
This is a fairly small teepee, so it's not the end of the world, but when you're on a 30-foot teepee and you forget to do this, you can kick yourself. Right?
Yeah. So this is an important step. Yeah.
We're just going to add on some ropes.
What's important here is we're tying the smoke flaps so that they don't get tucked into the actual canvas when we're raising it. And as Dave was saying, it's more important on like a 30-foot teepee. This is an 18-footer. You just have to play with the smoke flap poles a little bit. But it's better to work smart in this, and so by doing this in advance, it's going to save us some time finagling the smoke poles. So by tying these smoke flap ropes, it actually makes it easier to lift it because we're bundling together the canvas. It doesn't flop and fall and go sideways. So what you're doing is you're giving a little hug and tying it all together, eh, Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit of preparation before makes it easier to lift it off the ground.
And safer.
And safer.
And safer.
And so Dave designed this like as it's a symmetrical teepee, it's not an asymmetrical one.
Oh, really?
So yeah, the smoke hole lines up with the post at the bottom, makes it a bit easier.
Yeah.
Usually you call it in set up a teepee. We don't know what kind it is or how it's been set up before, but this has been made to measure for this canvas.
We're lacing the canvas together with pins. These are lacing pin holes.
Nice.
They're basically, I use an industrial buttonhole machine, so they're all reinforced along here. This takes a lot of beating and abuse, so this is the toughest part of the teepee.
Yeah. So he's done lacing the poles, the pins. We'll walk the poles out. And so there's 3 poles that you can't move. The eastern door pole, and the north pole and the south pole.
So the bottom pins here, while we're adjusting the poles and staking the teepee down, you have to lace these together to make the shape correct. Once everything is staked down, we unpin this and we tie these back so that there's no tripping hazard and that wheelchairs can come in and out.
Nice. It's like a tent door. You don't try to go through your tent when the door's closed, right? So
I'm basically just going to move around in a circle and start kicking poles out a little bit at a time, just going by eye, trying to space them out evenly.